we're going to talk about today, it's basically, first of all, I'm gonna refresh a bit the concepts on how to connect to a truck, how to deal with reading fault codes, clearing fault codes, all the process, and then we'll go ahead and see some specific fault codes that require extra steps that might not be as simple as just running a region on some cases. It's the fault codes that we've seen you guys have most trouble with. But again, if at any point you want to add a comment or just you want to review something, please use the chat. My colleague is here with me. He'll be able to reply to all your questions. And if not, just write an email to our email address, training@jaltest.com, and you'll be able to also receive a response through there, okay? Now, to start here, as you see here on the main page, you will see the 4 different connections. Okay, depending on the truck, if it's a newer truck, it's going to be from 2016 onward. If it has a 9-pin connector, it most likely will be a green 9-pin high-speed connector. If it's older than 2016, you will see that it has a black or gray cable. Volvo and Mack mainly use the OBD2, and light and medium duty in most cases will also use either the OBD2 only or OBD2 and 9/16 cables. Okay. Now, in order to connect to the vehicle, by just selecting the right connection, you'll be able to decide if you just want to read the scan the vehicle, so just read the different systems inside the truck, or if you would also like to read the fault codes as well. Okay. This process usually takes about a minute and a half, depending on the truck, depending on how many systems there are. And after that, you will get a clear picture of exactly what's going on with the truck and what we need to prioritize, okay? So in this case, we are connecting to a truck that has a Cummins engine with a Freightliner body computer, Allison transmission, and Appendix ABS, okay? So it's a, let's say, run-of-the-mill truck you find anywhere right now in the country, okay? Now, as I said, we've detected all the systems. Now the system is going one by one, reading all the fault codes in every system. And in a minute, you get a clear picture. In this case, there we go. You'll see that right now we have 3 errors in the Appendix ABS. We have 3 errors in the Freightliner.
Well, no, he was just doing a pre.
Perfect. There we go. Now, the system has been, we see here that we have all the fault codes here, depending on the system. And for example, for the engine, we might need to even connect to the engine to see the specific fault codes, okay? We know it's a Cummins ISX, 11.9 liters, and we can also check exactly all the capabilities, all the actions that we have available for this specific truck, okay? Now that we have all the specific options, we have read fault codes, clear fault codes, changing parameters, such as replacing the ECU. This is we can actually copy all the parameters from the ECU to the truck to our computer, install a new ECU, a blank ECU, and then paste all the parameters we've copied before onto the new ECU. So it's pretty useful, as well as changing maximum vehicle speed, changing the power takeoff control, or the engine protection, okay? Monitoring gives us the live data. System checks will allow us to run some tests. Maintenance mainly is all the region and the maintenance options. Under calibrations, we have the injector coding, as well as the VGT turbocharger, okay? And the configuration, we have the password management. In this case, we will be able to change the password. If we don't know it, we have the backdoor option, okay? And under operation data, we will have the option to just check exactly what's going on with the truck. Last trip data or complete data. If we go to read fault codes, oh, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'm here on a beta option, so that's what that's going. Let's go to another system, okay? In this case, if you go to the transmission, okay, you will see that we have the data that you would normally get with the OEM software. So in this case, you have, it's an active fault code. You get the fault code, so the specific code, how many times it's happened, as well as the brief description of what's going on. In this case, we know the solenoid valve is stuck on. And then you get here the 3 icons on the right. You'll see the freeze frame data, which is basically going to tell you what was going on with the truck at the moment we had the fault code. So in this case, it happened on the December 6th. You have the hour, you have the warning lab if it was on or off. Depending on the system, you will get more data or less data, okay? But if you have which components are related to that fault code, so in this case, you know that it could be the transmission ECU, the solenoid valves here, control module, as well as the pressure control on the solenoid, okay? You will see here that you have more icons to the right. You can check the information about the component itself, so this is the component that could be faulty with the pinout. So the pin 1 starts here on the top right corner and then goes down to the 20, and so on and so forth. And some additional operational values that will be pretty useful. For example, in this case, that you need the power supply between 9 and 19 volts. You have the titanium torque, so pretty useful, as well as the display measurements, okay? If you want to check exactly the measurements on the transmission in this case. Same thing you get with the rest of the systems here, rest of the components. So you get, again, picture, how it looks like, pinout, as well as the location, okay? So it's a lot of information that you will find useful. It will save a lot of time once you are using the software, as well as the pinout, so you know exactly if it's a problem with the wiring, you will know exactly which pins you need to connect to, okay? And then you have the wiring diagrams. These are something we make, okay? It's something we create based on the OEM, as well as our technicians, our engineers, with adding their input, basically. And you have here the same connection. You will see all of our wiring diagrams are more or less the same. If you hover the mouse over the mark component, you will see the same information. That you double click on it, you will see the same information as before. So again, you will be able to access all this information from anywhere in the software. And if you hover over a different component, you will either get the description or get as much information as you get with the ECU, okay? Now that we know exactly what's wrong with in this case, the transmission, we know which components could be faulty, and we know how they are all connected between them. We can actually see the last step here is going to be the troubleshooting guide. So it's going to be a step-by-step guide on how to fix any fault code. Again, it's all depending on the specific system. If it's a easy fault code, you will see 2-3 steps. If it's a hard fault code, you could have 10-12 different steps. In this case, you will have to check the control unit supply. Again, we give you the same information as before, so you don't have to go anywhere else to look for it. You can just go step by step, and you will be able to check exactly what you want at any moment. Okay. Now you have here, for example, check the transmission oil level, and you, depending on the specific transmission, you can just use the gear selector to check the specific. As you see here, it's gonna give you all the information, all the procedures, all the releases and procedures that you need to make sure that you can have that truck out of your shop as soon as possible, okay? And this is all a lot of extra information that will prove really useful, okay? Again, you can just display the measurements. You don't have to go inside the specific component. Just by going into a troubleshooting guide, you will be able to see all the information, okay? So this is what we've been going over in the last webinars as well. So basically, we are refreshing a bit what we've seen for now. Again, once you follow all these steps, always the last step is going to be clear fault codes. It's going to be select the fault code, clear it, and if you follow the steps, that fault code should be out of your way. Now, this is what we've seen. Basically, this is the normal way of diagnosing a truck and just completing the work. It's you plug into the truck once it gets to your shop, you connect to it using the right connector, you read the fault codes, you select the specific fault code, troubleshoot it, and fix it. Easy as that. Now, in some cases, you don't have the truck in front of you. You have a call from one of your technicians, one of your clients saying, I have a fault code 1922 on my dashboard. I have a Cummins engine. I have no idea what that means. It's pretty simple. With our software, you will also be able to detect or see what that fault code means without even having to connect to the truck, at first at least. So you select the specific, let's say you have a Cummins engine, ISX, and then you have this button here on the top. Okay, let me show you again what I did. You go to the main menu. You see here, you have the different options. This is the automatic system scan, and these are the manual selections. In this case, this is the manufacturer's menu, okay? If you want to connect to a specific system, not the whole truck, but just say you want to connect just to the engine, just to the transmission, just to the ABS, you can just click here, select manually the specific system you want to connect to. In this case, as I said, we go to Cummins here, ISX. And then you can either, if you have the truck in front of you, you can just click on it and connect, option A. Option B is going to select the manual diagnosis here, which will allow you to enter here on the top the fault code and get all the information that you got before without even connecting to the truck. Okay, let's say this is the code. Just click on enter, and you get this code here. You know that the fault code 1922 is the differential pressure sensor on the trap to high. That's what that means. You know that the specific component related to that fault code is the differential pressure sensor on the particulate filter. And you get the same information as before. You will see what the component looks like. You will have a brief description of what it is. Depending on the system, you will have the location. You know, it's either on the Type A, it's here. On the Type B engine is here. Okay. And again, the pinout and all the extra information that you might need, such as voltage or pressure, all the information you might need, okay? As well as the component replacement guide. So if you know that's the component that's faulty, you can click here, and it will take you to the component replacement guide, which is basically a step-by-step guide on how to change that component. So you don't miss a step, or you don't actually do unnecessary steps. Once you have all this, you're back to the diagnosis menu, and you can check the troubleshooting fault code, okay, the fault code troubleshooting. In this case, we have the specific fault code troubleshooting for this code. So the 19, you know, you have to check if there are any other active fault codes. If there are, you have to go to that specific fault code troubleshooting. But what I want to talk about this fault code specifically, it's a really normal fault code that you get most of the times on Cummins ISX. In most cases, technicians just try to run a region, and normally they get an error, basically telling them that they need to perform a certain action before that. And that's why I wanted to show you this specific fault code, okay? In this case, we need to perform always the maintenance before performing the specific action, okay? In this case, first of all, we need to do the maintenance. Okay, it will take us to the procedure once we connect to the truck. So once you click here, it will ask you which connections you have used for the truck. Normally, it's always the first one, the 9-pin cable. So just click on connect. It will take us to the specific procedure. So you know that once you are connected to the truck, you have to perform. First of all, we have to perform the reset, let's say, of the maintenance values, and then we can go ahead and perform the region. Okay, if we don't perform the reset, although we've replaced the filter, we'll have issues, we'll have problems, and in most cases, the system, the truck itself will reject the region because we haven't reset the counter for the maintenance options. Okay, so that's one of the fault codes that gives us most trouble. But again, we have all the options here on our software to make sure that you can just follow the steps and have the specific fault code clear so the truck can go on its way. Click on reset and just have to reboot the software, the truck. So basically, keys off for 70 seconds and then keys back on, and you should be good to go. Just turn off the microphones. Perfect. And after that, you can just perform the replacement in here, carry out the regeneration, and make sure that everything is working fine. Once you do all that, you will be able to just clear on the clear fault codes and have the truck make sure that there's no warning light on the truck or there's any kind of block for the engine. Okay. A different fault code we have been dealing with that gives you a lot of trouble. It's on Packard engines. One related to power loss. Okay, just show you how to. Let's say you have a client that calls you basically from the road. Hey, I have this fault code here. It's saying P1495. Have no idea what that means, but basically I'm losing power on the engine and I don't know how to fix that. So you just can go on Packard. Let's say it's an MX engine. Let's say EPA 13, and then just click on manual diagnosis. In this case, you can enter just the code here. If it tells you P4095, 96, let's go 4096, then you have this issue here. First of all, it means that the EGR is deactivated. EGR deactivated basically means that it's losing power, it's losing pressure, and what it means basically is that the EGR is not working properly, so you need either to replace it or check exactly what's going on. If you click here on information about the component, you will see that if you have, let's say, 13, you have here the EGR, and then you know, for example, that you should have, let's say, the resistance here should be 60 ohms. Okay. What do you do with that? Basically, you get your tools, you connect to the both pins, and if you don't have that resistance, that means that there's not enough power going into that pins. So it means basically that you have a wiring issue. Okay, so you don't have to go ahead and replace the whole component. It could be that just one wire is missing or one wire is damaged. Okay, if resistance is good, you can just check the rest of the component, make sure that everything seems fine. If not, just replace it. And let's say that you ignore this fault code. After 10 hours, basically, you're going to lose all power. Let me show you first the troubleshooting. So it's pretty simple. Just make sure that everything seems to be good. And once you have to turn off the ignition keys, the ignition for 10 seconds, and perform the diagnosis again. If it's active, that means that the fault was not clear, so that means that there's still an issue with the EGR. Let's say that you ignore this fault code, the driver basically just ignores it, keeps driving, and after 10 hours, you will get the following fault code. So these are two related fault codes. The 1496 will appear as non-active, and you will have the 1495, which basically means that the truck has stopped, or it's running super slow. That means that you've lost all power on the engine, and you will have to perform certain actions to make sure that you can actually have this fault code cleared. Okay, so this is also a special fault code that even if you replace the EGR, the system has the engine has blocked itself, and until you unblock it, you will not be able to continue working on the truck. So in this case, basically, you can go to the troubleshooting for this one. So basically, the first step is to make sure that this one is non-active. Second step, it's going to be disable the EGR power reduction. Okay. So basically, the truck as a protection measure, it's going to reduce power. It's going to block itself. And until you perform this action, actually, we've just done that with a client from Canada, not 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, before starting the presentation, and it worked perfectly. so you know exactly, just follow the steps. Make sure that you select the right connection. Make sure you have the expert mode. Always you will need that whenever performing an advanced function. And after that, just follow the steps. Make sure that you have you select the specific action. In this case, is the power reduction disable. You have the first page is always going to be check for the information that might be useful to carry out the procedure. In this case, it's basically telling you that after 10 hours, the 1496 will go ahead and become the 1495. So first of all, we need to solve the 1496 first, which is make sure that the EGR is functioning correctly. And after that, we have the initial conditions that must be met to carry out the procedure. In this case, we need the engine stopped and the 96 non-active fault code. And easy as that. So it's basically 3 steps, and a problem that was causing your client and you a lot of headaches will be cleared. Simple as that, okay? So again, what we try to explain here basically is that with the troubleshooting guides, with all the extra information that you get, just by simply following the steps here set out here in our software, any problem, although it might seem huge, will be easily cleared on any truck. So again, you don't have to go anywhere else to look for the solution unless it's something, let's say that the ECM is completely burned, something like that. In those cases, you might need to go to the OEM. But in 99% of the cases, with just Jaltest, with the troubleshooting guides, you will be able to clear anything that comes to your shop. Okay. Now, also wanted to talk to you about the latest updates we have for the 19.2. Okay. As I've shown you before, one of the options we have added on the 19.2 version, which came out about 3 months ago, was we can copy and paste the parameters on an ECU. So if you replace it, let's say on Cummins engine as well as Detroit diesel, you will be able to basically copy the parameters onto the computer and then copy them back to the ECM on the new ECM, and that way you will have you don't have to contact your dealer. We can actually calibrate the ECMs. Okay. Another new addition on 19.2 actually was the Allison prognosis. So basically, what it means is that thanks to certain calibrations, we are not able to detect when one of the components is going to wear out, or once you need to change the oil on the components. So you will be ahead of time, or you will know exactly when the change of one of the components is due. So it's pretty useful as well. And also, as I showed you before, we have the component replacement guide, which is basically a step-by-step guide on how to replace any component on any system in our software, which is, again, super useful. It's going to be a lot of time saving when you have to deal with that. You know, you don't have to double check everything. You don't have to miss a step. You will know exactly what to do, when to do it, and that's pretty useful. For the next version, which actually comes out mid-October, so it's going to be in about a month, you will see that we have the option, or you will see that we have the repair times embedded in the system. So whenever you are performing an action, you will be able to know exactly how long it should take to do. And something you guys have requested a lot, mainly for Mack and Volvo trucks, it's going to be the SCR induction action. Okay, the induction of the SCR will help you whenever you have a low quality AdBlue depth liquid inside the tank. It's an action that will actually be really useful in those cases, okay? So I'm not sure, guys, if you have any specific questions, you want to review anything, or have any suggestions, they are always welcome. Next week, we'll have another webinar. In this case, it's going to be about how to use the Jaltest software. So it's going to be a really in-depth training on how to use everything from the expert mode, how to request it, how to change to Bluetooth, how can you use the GRP module, again, how to connect to a truck, how to diagnose it, how to run the troubleshooting by symptoms. So anything that you might be wanting to do with the Jaltest software, we'll show you next week. Okay, if there are no more questions, I'm gonna stay here for a while, so if you want to ask anything, you can use the chat function or just ask them with the microphone. Doesn't really matter. But if there are no more questions, we'll see you guys next week, okay?